Hey guys, welcome back to 212 Live. I'm Shayla,
I'm Jake.
and I'm a little bit sad because this is our last week for 212 Live. I don't know what I'm going to do on Wednesdays.
I mean, it is the last week, and we've had 6 of these 212 lives. Thank you so much for staying tuned with us, guys. But when all good things have to come to an end, right?
And bad things,
Yeah.
hopefully. It's
Hopefully,
quarantine soon.
hopefully the quarantine's over soon.
I
We're
think
hoping.
Caleb's lying to us that it's going to be
Yes.
extended.
We'll see. But hey, here's what I'm excited about. This is going to end, but our summer this year, I think, is going to be really, really fun. I mean, lake days,
Can't
water
wait.
wiffle ball.
Yes,
all
I will
kinds-
win.
all kinds of stuff. We're going to be having a ton of fun to be staying connected with us through our Instagram, through our text message, all kind of things like that. And speaking of summer and being outside,
It's summer, the weather's been nice, so we moved Coach's Corner outside, and you should just take a look.
Hi, welcome back to Coach's Corner with me, Shayla. Since the weather's nice, we decided it was time to move this outdoors. We all know that this quarantine has made us graze. Gonna graze some more? So, we're gonna use Maggie or Margaret. At least her name's not Chuck, like the bottle clap I just heard of. Hope she doesn't end up as ground Chuck either. Today we're gonna hoof it. Workout for today is to catch the bottle calf that just ran out through the electric fence.
You're going to come back, Margaret Long.
Never mind. Don't try to work out with your calf. Just go for a run. I'd say until next time, but I think we're done. So thanks for watching Coach's Corner, where cats, calves, and Carol are your best friend. Stay strong.
well, awkward green screen. That's okay.
That's all right.
But yeah, I do think you're onto something here because if you've seen the Rocky movies, Rocky chases around
haven't.
chickens so he can beat up Russians. So like that's the whole point of Rocky, I think. So
But when it's your dad's bottle calf that runs out and you don't know if you're getting it back, I just kept reminding him it was his idea to do this.
yes. So I guess reward if you can find the bottle calf, we'll give you 10 pounds of ground chuck, and it's gonna be great. So hey, each week we've been doing a new challenge, right? We did trick shots, we did cooking challenges, and this past week we did challenges. We wanted you to take a picture to recreate a famous painting, right?
It's maybe my favorite one.
It's been really good. I like trick shots a lot, and I really like the cooking one because Reese
Of
gave me a
course,
piece of
'cause
that
you
cake.
got the cake,
The
so of
cake
course
was
you liked it.
awesome. Shout out to Reese Chapman for the most delicious cake I've ever had. I tried to remake it. It was okay, but Reese's was way better.
I wouldn't
So,
eat yours.
hey, we have a couple of entries here. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these here. So the first one has been brought to us Caleb, let's see that first picture. The Shillitoes.
Nice.
This is very patriotic. This is George Washington crossing what river, do you know?
I'm not a history teacher.
The Delaware.
Oh,
the
the Delaware.
Delaware,
There you go.
right? And they're breaking ice. That's a great one. And the siblings were in it. There's a
I love
kayak in it.
Family bonding
Some
time.
points taken away because it wasn't. They have water there at their place.
Right. I
And
wondered why they just used the grass.
Yeah, I think more points if it was on water.
Come on,
so
guys.
if you can do it again, maybe we'll give you more points.
I
So
agree.
hey, the next one comes to us from who is this, Shayla?
Oh, this is Joanna. And you know, I really think Joanna has gone back in time and this painting was drawn right from her.
We have to know, Joanna Cook. Are you a time traveler? We have to know.
You
Like,
can make
this
a
is
lot of money. So share
insane.
your secret.
Yes, please. The next one we have is Hope Norton. This one's a little controversial. I'm not sure about this
Yeah.
one. I mean, to recreate baby Jesus as a dog. I mean, at least it wasn't a cat.
But yeah, I mean, if you like dogs, then maybe they're your best friend. Jesus is your best friend. But
But this is Hope as the mother of Jesus, Mary, right? And then Jesus as a cute white dog. So we won't show it again just because we don't want to get in trouble. We are in a church. We don't
Right.
know what the ramifications of some of these things. So, hey, let's see the next one, Caleb. This one, this is Reese and Addison. This one involves livestock.
I like the livestock.
This one, I mean,
Use
look at.
animals.
Is there a duck? Is she carrying a duck?
Is that a duck?
It might be a duck.
It looks like a duck.
And some sheep. I mean, just to get them to stand next to you. I
Again,
can't even
you
get my kids to stand next to me.
Didn't use a cat. Double points if you would have used
Yeah,
a cat.
these are
But,
great.
you know, it's good.
And I think that's it. Do we have any more? That's it, man. That was a great job.
Good
Hey,
job, guys.
5 entries into this week's giveaway, which is what, Shade? Tell them what we're giving away this week.
You are getting a $25 Amazon gift card this week. So
You could literally buy anything for $25
Anything.
from Amazon. I mean, you could buy
Food.
probably food, a new shirt, a bowling ball probably,
yeah, a bowling ball, some books.
a phone case, books. You should get books.
Books. It's a good time to
Did we
read.
say food? Food is
Food.
really important. You should
You
get
know,
food.
I looked for Reese's eggs on Amazon.
Do they have 'em?
They really bumped those prices up.
Don't do
Couldn't-
it.
couldn't
So
pull the
hey,
trigger.
if you stay to the end of the show, we're going to be able to pick the winner from this week. People who have joined in the Bible study, done those games. If you did participate in the challenge, if you did last week's code word, which is April showers, we had 15 entries from the code word. That was awesome.
That's awesome, guys.
So hey, but as you know, this is our last 212, and normally on the last 212 of the year, we get to celebrate the seniors.
Woohoo!
So Shayla, you're a small group leader for some of the seniors. So go
I
ahead and
am.
name the seniors that were on a roll this year.
So our seniors, for the girls anyway, we have Josie and Shelby, Caitlin, Gracie, Jackie, Colleen. I miss you guys. Just shout out to you. Couple boys, Waylon Squire and Connor Stoltz. You were pretty consistent, so.
Yeah, we didn't get to see you on our last day of 212, but we want to celebrate you guys. And so I had a chance to catch up with Josie Teagarden this week
Yay,
on Zoom.
Josie, 'cause
And so, yeah, you guys are related. Look
We
at that.
are.
So, but here was the cool thing. Josie has been in the youth group since 7th grade. She's the
Wow.
only senior we have
That's impressive.
that's gone all the way from 7th grade and been involved in almost everything. So let's check out that interview from Josie.
What advice would you give to an underclassman, you think?
So I like to have plans and know what I'm doing. I'm the type of person that, I mean, like, if you ever see me going to camp or any trip, like, I'm the girl with the giant suitcase full of clothes that I'm never going to wear. And so I just like to be prepared for stuff. And so a lot of times that turns into I want to have control over the situation and any situation that I'm in. And so, like, I guess I would just say to anyone, like, this is my best advice, like, don't hold anything too tightly in your hand that, like, God can't take it away from you, or, like, God can't change your plans. Like, don't hold plans so tightly that you're not allowing him to work through those. Yeah, I've just had different plans throughout the years, and I felt like with the ones that I was holding too tightly, like, I wanted them for my own selfish reasons, and I feel like God had better plans for me than that. And so just kind of allowing him to work in those and not be so dead set on your own selfish wants and your desires and dreams, and just allowing him to work in those is probably my best advice.
So you've been in a youth group since 7th grade. I mean, you've grown up in our church, so you've been further than just 7th grade. But you're the only senior we have this year that's gone from 7th grade. I mean, you went to camps, you were in the SALT team, you went to just about every event we've ever had. I think you've participated in, unless something has come up. So out of all those things, can you nail down like one favorite memory or one thing that you loved from your time in 212?
Okay, so obviously, like, Guatemala was like, I'm super passionate about Village of Hope and everything that's going on there. And, like, I took trips there before we even were taking our church. And I wish that, like, my favorite memory was from there, but that's not it. So my favorite memory is from camp. It would have been the summer after my 7th grade year, so my first year at teen camp. And you had just become a youth pastor. And me and Emery Bedgood, I don't know if anyone's going to remember this year perfectly. And we were in the cafeteria eating, and I was griping because I wanted to go to student life in Oklahoma and have Starbucks there. I'd heard that they had Starbucks. I was mad that we were in Missouri, and I was griping about not having Starbucks, and he said, well, Starbucks delivers, don't you know? And I was like, really? And so you had me convinced that Starbucks would deliver, and we're within, like, it was a ridiculous, like, mile radius. It was like 30 or 50 miles, and like there was a Starbucks that was like 29 miles away. And so I called the Starbucks and I requested that they would deliver me like a cafe mocha and my drink. And Emory got something, and they were like, "We don't deliver." And I was like, "Yes, you do. I know you do. My youth pastor told me you do." And they were like, "I swear we do not deliver. Like, you have to come here." I was like, "Well, I can't. And I know you deliver. You're just lying." I was like, "I want to speak to your manager." So I get the manager on the phone, and they tell me, "No, we do not deliver." And I look down, and you and my mom and a bunch of other adults are all sitting there cracking up as I'm about to yell at this manager of Starbucks because they won't deliver me my coffee. I didn't know you yet, so I didn't know what a jokester you were, and yeah. And I was naive. I was in 7th grade, so.
That was a great year at camp. That was my first year at camp too, and I wasn't knowing what to expect. I'd never been to student life, and we do camp different now. But I think some of the relationships that we all built that first year at camp was a big deal. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so a joke for Josie solidified even our relationship going into the rest of your 212 time. That's great. So something that I've honestly been impressed with you, Josie, you know, your family is very active in their faith, very active in our church. But from, I mean, a fairly early age, I feel like earlier than most, you have owned your own faith, right? Like you were like, you know, this isn't just going to be on the backs of my parents. Like, I love God. I want this to be a big part of my life. Like, what has helped you through junior high, through high school, through all the junk that comes with all that, through friends? What's helped you keep your faith as a priority in your life?
It's really easy to get burnt out of something or annoyed by something or frustrated by something when it's your parents forcing it down your throat. And so I think that, especially with my family, I don't know, even things that I agree with them on, like the more that they shove it down my throat, I'm like, never mind, I don't like that. So I think that the sooner that you decide to like make it your own priority and like, okay, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go to church tonight, or I'm gonna go to church on Sunday, or I'm gonna sign up to teach a Sunday school class, or I want to go on this mission trip, and you make it about you, and it's not your parents forcing you to go or forcing you to be involved or forcing you to volunteer. I think that's when you start to realize you actually enjoy it, and it takes some tension out of your relationship with your parents too, I think. I also think like that was just something that I forced myself to do because I knew that if it was my parents shoving it down my throat, I was eventually gonna be like, I'm done with this, I'm annoyed, I'm sick of it. So I think just choosing to make it my own. I also think like 212 is a lot of fun. It's super great to be there. And I think we all learn something. There's great community. Like that's why my favorite part of it is being there with other students. But I also think there's something to be said for going to church on Sundays. And it's not that Jake isn't a great teacher or the Pastor Joe's better, anything like that. It's just like it's a greater priority to you because you're making time. You're waking up on Sunday morning and you're getting dressed up and you're going to church. That really helped me. You're there with adults that are pointing into you when you leave that church and everybody's shaking hands and putting up chairs and adults are coming up to you and talking to you and talking about what your parents posted on Facebook about you. Like that, I don't know, it's a different kind of community, but it's really important. Not just going to church on Sundays, but getting involved. I mean, I remember when I was in middle school, and I helped my parents and my grandpa coach Upwork Soccer. That was a good opportunity for me to, and then for years I did the concession stand. When we still had a concession stand at Upwork Soccer, I did that because I couldn't stand coaching. And so I just think like doing little things like that to help out the church and invest in the church wants to invest in you when you invest in them. And I think that's something that I learned. I've had really amazing adults invest in me all through middle school and high school because I invested in our church, and they saw that, and they saw, hey, like Josie's a kid and she's doing this kind of stuff. Like that's really cool. 212 can't be where it ends. You can't show up at 212 at 5:30, 6:30, and leave at 8:30 or whatever, and go home, and that be the end of your spiritual walk. Like it has to be more of an investment, whether that's like you're reading your Bible every day and you're praying. I think praying for me is more like I do that more than I read my Bible. I'm terrible and not disciplined at all, and I should work on that. But like it can't just end on Wednesday nights. And so whether that's going on a mission trip or two, or volunteering to be a Sunday school teacher, which is super fun, and upward soccer, whatever it is, I guess I just say like getting plugged in on your own, stuff that your parents aren't doing. Like don't sign up to teach classes with your parents. I guess if you want to do that, but I'd say like kind of man up and go do some stuff on your own. Piece of advice I give anyone is like high school, I know it feels like everything, and even if it doesn't, even if you're like, yeah, I know high school is only 4 years of my life and it's a really short 4 years and it's dumb, but like legitimately, like do not find your identity in your high school or your popularity or what people think of you or your high school relationship. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your life, and it's not going to be the best 4 years of your life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josie. Man, I just love hearing her story, the story about us tricking her into calling Starbucks for delivery. That was a pretty funny thing.
That's great.
So it's been a great run with all of our seniors. Guys, we're excited. But hey, right now we're going to play a game called True Confessions. If you've seen The Tonight Show, you may have seen something like this. And here's how it's going to go down. Shay and I both have in front of us 2 envelopes sealed with stories. Could be true, could be false. We don't know each other's stories or what's true or false here. And then we're going to have just a little bit of time to ask questions to see exactly. So we're going to give each other, let's say, 5 questions or whatever to see how, if it's true or false. So Shayla, you go first. Open up your story. I don't care, whichever one.
I don't see what it is.
Been trained I took a psychology class in college, so I know when someone lies all the time. One class, psychology.
I think we all did.
101, I think it was required.
Okay,
story.
I once fell off a boat ferry on a canal in the middle of Bangkok, Thailand.
You once fell off a boat ferry. Isn't that like redundant and repetitive? Boat
Yeah,
and ferry?
I wasn't really sure how to word what kind of boat it was.
In a canal. So what was the canal connecting?
It just runs through the city.
Why is it? Okay, so canal.
Mm-hmm.
In where?
In Bangkok.
What year was this?
Would have been 2013 or 14.
She kind of froze there. I don't know. It may be a lie.
I went a couple times. So
why were you on this ferry?
We were moving from place to place, and we were going to a floating market. And so my friend in Bangkok took us on the ferry to go back and forth to the floating market.
She said she had friends. That's one big notice that she may not be telling the truth. But she did spend a significant amount of time in Asia. I
did. He was an exchange student here. My sophomore year of high school.
I'm going to say some of it's true, but the whole story that's a false story.
That's what you're going with.
I'm going with false. False.
Okay.
Was it true?
Are we telling?
Yeah, we're telling.
Now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was false.
Oh, boom. Psychology 101. Thank you, Professor Ridenauer. Appreciate that.
I do have friends, so that's a stupid thing to go off of.
Speaking of friends,
not very many.
Here's my story. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
I once jumped off a bridge because my friends did.
What bridge was it?
I don't. Just some
hesitation
county.
There.
It was some kind of county bridge near my home.
What county was it in?
McLean County, Oklahoma.
Who were your friends?
Which
one
I didn't
jumped
really have
first?
a ton of friends. I would have said James jumped first. Probably.
And how many people jumped?
6.
6 total. Can you name all of those 6?
Maybe 7. I probably couldn't name all of them. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. What year was this?
It would have been 2009, my senior year of high school.
Okay. What friends? You didn't answer that question.
So James, Tony, Trevor, Wallace. Those are the 4 that I
feel like you're just making up names now. You don't actually know who was there. You're
we're
just making up
Facebook
names.
friends. You could creep my Facebook.
Yeah, I don't really care about that.
I don't really care about Facebook. Okay. Any other questions?
No. This is totally something you would do, but whether or not you did it, I'm going to say it's true.
False. It is false. Never jump off bridges, kids. It's
Jake
a dumb
would
idea.
Jump off a bridge.
It's a dumb idea,
fishing
especially
tonight.
if your
He would
friends
jump off a
do
bridge.
it first. You know, Caleb once jumped off a bridge. He tried to get me to follow him, and we're not that good of friends, Caleb. Sorry. No, he didn't. That's a made-up story, too.
Okay.
All right, next one. So
All right.
1-0. You know, the theme of Shayla losing continues through all the 212 live shows.
It does,
So.
but I don't even remember what I wrote down. Oh.
It's a lie, then.
I had the police called on me in India.
What for?
not buying somebody's little souvenir outside of a mosque.
Wait, why is there a mosque in India? Aren't they
They're
Buddhists?
the Hindu, actually, but
Hindu.
there are lots of mosques as well.
This seems fishy. Okay.
Could
Were
be
you
mixed.
handcuffed?
I was not handcuffed.
What kind of police cars do they have? Because in the European movies, they always have those funny sounding sirens and stuff.
I don't remember the police car. I'm not sure he showed up
Was
in a
the
car at all.
officer a male or female?
He was a male,
Just one?
just one.
Just one?
Yep.
So did you get in any kind of trouble?
I was shaken really bad. I got yelled out by the driver of the vehicle.
That tried to sell you the thing?
No, he wasn't trying to sell. He was just driving the vehicle.
So who called?
The guy who tried to sell me.
All right,
was-
enough questions. This is also false. She's making crap up. She thinks she's going to get it by me. It's not going to work.
It's totally true. I wouldn't buy his stuff, and he called the police officer over, and they were yelling at us. I had no idea what was going on because it wasn't in English.
Because he wouldn't buy your
Because I wouldn't buy his little trinket.
What was the trinket?
I have no idea.
It's probably
I wasn't
some-
even looking. I just said no, thank you.
Just no thank you. See, when
True-
strangers
true
offer
story.
you stuff, students, you
Don't-
say no
don't.
thank you and you
No,
walk away.
you just ignore them, and
You
then
just
you
ignore
wouldn't get
them.
in that problem at all.
Okay. See, she spent a lot of time overseas, y'all. So I never know really
I
what's
have a
true
lot
and
of
what's
stories.
not. I once snuck onto the field at Oklahoma University, the football field.
Why?
So I could say that I've been on the 50-yard line. I was on the 50-yard line. I ran into
What
the end zone.
what city is this in?
Oklahoma University is in Norman, Oklahoma.
How far was that from where you lived?
25 minutes.
And where were you living at the time?
Dibble, Oklahoma.
What's your name?
Jacob.
Okay. Who else was with you?
My dad, a pastor from my church named Mike Sturgill, and my
So-
older brother was with me too.
So, your dad, your pastor.
Big OU
So
fans.
I thought we just said we shouldn't do what other people do. Were you leading
I
this or
was-
following? Leading or following? Leading or following? Leading or following?
We jumped on the field at the same time. So
Whose idea though? Leading or
the
following?
pastor's.
The pastor's
Yeah,
idea.
it was definitely his idea. We wanted to go see it, and we went down the stands and jumped on there. And
Why
the funny
was
thing
there?
is,
There was no. There weren't any security guards around.
no, the gate was open, but the alarm did go off after we
What
went
did
into
the
the
alarm
end
sound
zone.
like?
It sounded like World War III was happening, and we ran back to the car. It was pretty terrifying.
It went off when you jumped on the field.
Yeah,
Or
the
as you
Sooners'
entered-
end zone is it's always populated, so they have to keep alarms on it.
I
People
don't
go into
know.
it so often.
I feel like
so
you're,
many
you're just
touchdowns.
embellishing here.
That's 'cause
not
Boomer
so
Sooner,
many touchdowns.
Epaw, Ma, every
Ema? I mean, I'm
girl's
not
a
even a
Wildcat or
K-State
something. No
fan,
one cares
but-
about that. So, go Sooners.
I feel like I've heard stories about maybe a pastor that was a huge fan. I'm gonna say true.
It's true.
So we tied. I didn't
we tied.
lose.
You didn't lose.
didn't lose.
Thank you so much. These games have been a ton of fun. We are going to head to teaching time because if you want to find truth, where do you go, Shayla?
The Bible.
The Bible, every time.
So, when you don't know how to do something, how to fix something, or how something works, what do? Ask a teacher? Ask your parents? Ask your friends? Ask someone you really know and trust? No! You go to the internet and ask some randos. But I'm not talking about creeps here, I hope. No, I mean the people of the internet! You know, those people who make how-to videos. Because chances are, if you're trying to figure out something, someone on the internet has already figured it out for you. Things like, how do I unsend a text? No. How do I do a winged eyeliner? How do I get rid of the zit by Friday night? How do I get out of gym class? How do I screen cap Snapchat without getting caught? They'll never know. But then there are things in life that don't have an easy fix, that don't have a simple solution, that don't have a how-to video. Things like what to do when you have problems with family, or when it seems like you have no control in your life, or what to do when someone has done something to you. I mean, clearly, they gotta go. The truth is, there's a lot of life that doesn't have a solution you can just find online. So how do you know what to do when you don't know what to do?
All right, so how do you know what to do when you don't know what to do? And that's been the question we've been asking now for 3 weeks. It's our final week in the series talking about the life of Joseph. In the week one, we talked about how Joseph's family was crazy and how sometimes it's hard to get along with our families, right? And how do we operate in those times? And then last week, we talked about how Joseph got thrown into the pit and sold into slavery. And when it looked like he had no way out, it was nowhere to turn, we learned that you can always turn with God because God is with you, right? And so today I want to talk about what do we do when the right thing to do isn't always clear? Because if you're like me, maybe you've run into a situation where it was kind of gray and not black or white, right? Because sometimes the right thing to do isn't very obvious, right? Like if you're dating someone, but you're texting someone else, you're just friends, but should I be texting? Is that cheating? We're not really sure, right? Or maybe your teammate is just going off on the coach in the locker room because the coach tried to kind of correct them something they were doing wrong. And you were sitting there like, but the coach is kind of right. You're kind of doing this bad, but you don't want to jump in. Or maybe your friend is doing something that's really irritating, right? But you don't want to say something because you don't want to cause any kind of bad just rift between your friend and you, and so you don't know what to do. See, sometimes the right thing to do, we're just not sure what that is. And sometimes the right thing to do, it costs us something, right? Like, it is not always true that when we do the right thing, that people applaud us and when we get, commended in all these different things. Like, sometimes the right thing to do costs us. Like, for instance, the right thing to do is to be honest with your parents, but you also know you're going to lose your phone, and that's going to cost you. Or maybe you shouldn't be in that relationship you're in anymore. The right thing to do is to break that off, but you don't want to really be alone and single again, and it's going to cost you something. Or maybe you shouldn't let someone cheat off your test, but if you don't, then it's going to cost you some social points. Or maybe it's not the right thing to do to party or to take that drink, that offer, but you don't want to miss out on the good story or the friends. See, sometimes, even when we know something is right, it's still a difficult thing to do. See, last week we left off where Joseph was sold into slavery in a place where only God could comfort him. So I want to go back to the story in Genesis 39, okay? So go to Genesis 39, and we're going to read a few verses, starting in verse 2. Verse 2 says, "The Lord was with Joseph." Those were our 5 words that are powerful last week, right? "And he was a successful man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw the Lord was with him, and the Lord made all he did prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his sight and served him, then made him overseer of his house, and that all he had he put under his authority. So it was from that time that he had made him overseer of his house and all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was on all that he had in the house and in the field. Thus he left all he had in Joseph's hand, and he did not know what he had except for the bread which he ate. Now Joseph was handsome and in form and appearance." Okay, so we jump into the story. We meet Joseph again, right? And he's in this house of an Egyptian, and we know to be later in the story, this guy's name is Potiphar. See, Potiphar was a really important person in Egypt. And Joseph was sold to Potiphar, and Joseph was going to be a servant or a slave in Potiphar's house. See, but God then blessed Joseph. And then we learn that things weren't so bad for Joseph because Potiphar trusted him, and things weren't so bad for Potiphar because he trusted Joseph. And so there's this relationship where then Joseph begins to climb kind of the ladder of success in the house. So all of a sudden, he's the most important servant. All the things are under his control. He's got authority, he's got some power, he's even got all the things that he needs. And it says this, it gets a little weird. Verse 6 and 7, so let's look at that again. 39, 6 and 7. "Thus he had all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he did not know what he had except for the bread which he ate. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance." Verse 7, "And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph, and she said, 'Lie with me.'" Okay, so it gets a little weird here, right? So Joseph is being successful, and he's got some authority, and all these things are happening. In the Bible, then we learn 2 things. The first thing we learn from this is apparently Joseph was a snack, okay? And the second thing is that his boss's wife absolutely noticed and said he gazed longingly at him and wanted to lie with him. Ask your parents what that means. Okay, so now it gets complicated because Joseph was a slave and he knew the right thing to do. He had to follow the orders of Potiphar and therefore Potiphar's wife as well. But he also knew that to lie with Potiphar's wife would be directly against what God had told him to do. So he's in a hard place because if he refuses, he could get kicked out of a really good place, right? As slavery went, he was not in a bad place at this moment. Or he could also die. And if he said yes, he would be in direct conflict with God and what God wanted for him in his life. See, it was this really confusing place he was in. So what did Joseph do when he did not know what to do? Look at verse 8. But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not know what is with me in this house, and he has committed all that he has to my hand." Verse 9, "There is no one greater in this house than I, nor has he kept back anything from me but you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" See, basically, out of respect for Potiphar and even more respect for God, Joseph declined this offer. He simply did the next right thing. See, Joseph didn't make his decision on what might happen. He made his decision in that moment of what the next right thing was to do. He made it based on what was right at that time. It was complicated. It was challenging, but it was the right thing to do. So what happened to Joseph, right? Sometimes the right thing will get you applause, and sometimes it won't, like we talked about. See, it's going to cost you, or it might not. Or it's going to make you look good sometimes when you do the right thing, or it might not. But Joseph gets kicked out of Potiphar's house and gets put in prison again. And you're sitting here wondering, but he did the right thing. And students, here's the challenging thing. Sometimes when we do the right thing, when the right thing is kind of a gray area and we're not sure, when we make that commitment to do the right thing, sometimes, we don't get what we expect. But here's the bottom line for tonight. When you don't know what to do the next right thing. Let me say it again. When you don't know what to do the next right thing. So I want you to do something. Sitting at home right now, think of one situation where you know the right thing to do, but you're afraid. Right? You know that in this situation, this is the thing to do, but you're scared. Maybe you're scared of the repercussions. Maybe you're scared of the punishment. Maybe you're scared of what it's going to cost you. I don't know what you're scared of. Then I want you to kind of consider, what if fear wasn't a factor in that decision? How would you then do? What would you then do? Here's the second question. What kind of person do you want to be? Not in 5 years, not in 5 minutes, right now. What kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be known as someone who follows the rules of God, who's respectable and who's honoring of all things around them, right? Do you want to be that person? See, most of us know the right thing, but fear keeps us from doing it. And that's where living with integrity comes in play. See, living with integrity is knowing the next right thing and then doing the next right thing. I think most of us know the right thing to do. I think Joseph clearly knew the right thing here and what he was supposed to do. And he did it because he was living a life of integrity, living a life after God. And we hear about this a lot, don't we? Live a life with integrity, do the right things. But how do we actually do this? Like when the rubber hits the road, when we're in the middle of the gray area, we're not really sure what to do. When it's going to cost us a lot and we're scared to make the right decision, how do we make sure we make the right decision? Here's 2 things you can do. The first is this. Tell someone who you trust and who loves Jesus, tell them the next right thing you're going to do. Tell them the situation you're going to say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And then when you do that, part 2 of that is invite them to pray for you and then ask them this week to check up on you, right? Give them permission to ask if you did that right thing. Because if you're like anything like me, if I have someone counting on me, if I have someone expecting something of me, if I've kind of given that area of my life, if I've given them permission into that, it's going to be harder to do the wrong thing. And it's going to be a little easier to do the right thing. And you're going to have someone on your side for that. See, this is how we live a life with integrity. Integrity of knowing the next right thing and then doing the next right thing. I don't think chances are you're never going to end up in the situation that Joseph was in. But you are going to end up in a situation where you're not really sure what to do. That's when you just do the next right thing. If you're wondering what's the right thing, you can go to your Bible for that. We say all the time, if you want to find truth, go to Scripture. Guys, it's been a great study, and there's a lot more in Joseph's story that we can continue to go into. But this big question of what do I do when I don't know what to do? This is where our faith comes into play. This is where our relationship with Jesus Christ comes into play, because we lean on those foundations, those truths to help us get through those things. Because when we trust in our own hearts, the Bible says our hearts are wicked. When we trust in the Lord, He is good, and He is good to show us the right things too. Let's pray. God, thank you so much for what you've been doing through this 6 weeks of online, just 212, God. God, thank you that we can see maybe a light at the end of the tunnel here, and we get together soon. God, I pray for a swift end to this that ends safely, God, and responsibly, but also gets us back together. God, we love you. Help us love you more. Amen.
Thanks, Jake, for that. And guys, I mean, sometimes it all just seems so big and what do you do, but the next right thing, and we can show God our love through obedience to him and just doing that right thing. And I totally believe, Jake, that you got do the next right thing from the Bible, not from Frozen 2.
Yes.
I believe it.
I do enjoy a good session of Frozen 2.
I believe you sing at home, too.
And that was my favorite scene in that movie. But yes, I think, like most stories now, there's not very many original stories, and a lot of stories go back to the Bible. I think you can find.
I think they do too. You can connect them all.
So hey, before we end here, I do want to give the giveaway, right? We've been
Let's
having
do it.
people recreate the pictures. We have them text in. We have them on the Bible study every morning. So let's go ahead and roll that to see who's going to win the $25.
Who gets the $25 gift card to get whatever you want?
Whatever you want. I like the noise, so I want to hear it.
I like the noise too.
In 3, 2, 1.
Hope Northern.
Hope Northern.
Even with your dog
the
as Jesus.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, God was smiling
We're
upon
not
you.
judging.
I love it. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Yay.
Hope, I will be getting your email from you tonight, and I will be able to. I'll get that pretty quickly. You could be shopping tonight. You better
And then
be
delivered in 2 days with Prime.
I mean, that's how Prime works. We'll have
it'll
to
be
see
here
what
soon.
happens. That is how Prime works. Hey, before we do end here, we are coming to the end of our show. I just want to take a second here and just remind you that while this has been good, and we've enjoyed this, and we've got to hear the Bible, and we've got to see funny games, and 212 Live has been a cool experience. This isn't how it's supposed to be, right?
It's not how it's supposed to be. And honestly, like not being around my small group and my church family on Sunday mornings has been the weirdest part of all of this. Like even not going to school isn't as weird as not being around people that love Jesus.
I'm telling you. And I think some of this quarantine has the biggest lesson it's taught me. I mean, maybe even like retaught me is how important those relationships are. How important it is to be around people who love Jesus in your church, right?
I hope it's like grown that desire in you and you come back and join us and plug in even more when this ends.
Yeah, so your challenges, guys, as we begin to unveil some of the fun things we'll be doing this summer, like camp, June 28th through July 1st, man.
Yes.
Camp is going to be so much fun. And we have a new theme for camp. Caleb, go ahead and put the new theme up. They have changed the theme this year to be a little more specific to what we're doing. It's called Even Now.
I think it's perfect.
Even now we can worship. Even now we can share the gospel. Even now we can continue to do these things. I'm excited about this. And I know like the lake days are fun.
Oh, yeah.
Water wiffle ball. Like,
Yes.
if you're someone who doesn't normally connect in the summer, like
Come
don't-
join. You're going to want to be around us. You haven't seen us in how long? I
Yeah,
mean,
summer 2020 is going to be the best one yet.
come
So,
back.
Guys, that's all we have. This is Jake.
Shayla,
And for the last time, stay classy, Lynn County. We'll see you later.
bye.